I will never cheat on my husband. Travis Wesley was having the most unfortunate day. After all, it's not every day that your beautiful wife of 23 years tells you she's going to date other men. Starting tonight. Travis sat silently at the kitchen table with his hand around a glass of monkey shoulder scotch. He hadn't taken a sip of the amber liquid in 10 minutes, just sat there staring straight ahead, unable to see, unable to hear, but definitely feeling inside himself the damn pain. Travis knew there wasn't enough Alka-Seltzer in the world to make the pain in his stomach disappear. He'd heard stories of other men's wives telling them they were going to date other men, but he'd always assumed it was nothing more than an urban legend. How could a woman assume that her loving husband would let her date other men? He knew what the word cuckold meant, but he just couldn't believe that a woman could be so callous to her own husband, so blatantly selfish in her desires. Until 45 minutes ago. Of course, it was Monday. But it had been a good day at the firm where Travis worked, and he'd even walked out the door a few minutes after 5 p.m. whistling a cheery tune. Entering the house, he was still feeling rather chipper when he found his wife sitting at the kitchen table sipping a glass of red wine with a glass and bottle of his favorite whiskey in front of his usual place. He dropped his briefcase and poured himself 3 fingers of the liquid, then sat down in a chair. "What's the mystery, Lauren?" Travis asked, noticing the crooked half-smile on his wife's face. His wife looked him straight in the eye and smirked. What he read in her eyes was not good. He fidgeted nervously in his chair. "Do you think I've been a good wife and mother all these years, Trav?" she asked quite calmly. Travis furrowed his brow. His wife knew he was a quiet, thoughtful man, and could practically see the wheels turning in his head before he answered. "Yeah, I think so. And what-oh? And do you think I should get some kind of reward for it?" she asked in the same expressionless tone. A few more seconds passed while Travis carefully considered the question again. A reward for fulfilling the duties of a good wife and mother? Should I be rewarded for fulfilling the duties of a good husband and father? What the hell are you asking me, Lauren? Travis asked irritably. "Travis, I want to go on a date with another man tonight," she said, calm as a lake on a perfect morning. Travis was glad he was sitting down. He felt the bile rising in his body. His thoughts were like a freshly wiped school blackboard, completely blank. "A date?" With difficulty, he squeezed out of himself. "With another man?" Lauren looked at her husband as if he were a child and nodded slowly. "Yes, with another man, Trav. I haven't been on a date with another man since you and I became exclusive 24 years ago. I've been a good wife to you, a good mother to the kids, and I deserve a night with another man, a chance to try someone new. Not someone to love, but someone for pleasure. Just love," she said. "I'm 47, and I can't stay beautiful forever. I want to try more men while I'm still a desirable woman and can get them with a snap of my fingers." Travis's lower jaw slowly dropped. He knew he'd gotten his wife right. But surely she couldn't be serious about saying that, could she? He didn't even have to ask the question. Lauren nodded at him as if reading his mind. "Damn," he muttered, as she got up from the table and headed up the stairs to the bedroom to change. Once downstairs, Lauren looked stunning in a little black dress that practically encased her gorgeous body. It had a neckline down the front to the middle of her size 3 breasts without a bra, and the length barely reached mid-thigh. Her makeup was light. A beautiful woman doesn't need much. And her long blonde hair was pulled back into a high ponytail. The sight was breathtaking. Lauren could see that at that moment her husband belonged to her completely. Then, "I'm not going to let this happen, Lauren," Travis said, getting up from the table. "I don't know what you're thinking or doing, but you won't do it while you're still my wife." Lauren's radiant smile turned into an ugly grin. "You're not going to ruin this evening for me, Trav. You can talk tough, but you know you won't divorce me because of it. Where are you going to find a woman like me if you let me walk out on you? Nowhere, and you know it. And the kids are going to be mad at you for ruining our family. Face it, Travis. Let me have a few years of fun, and then it'll just be you and me again, and we'll grow old together. You know you love me. You don't want to be alone for the rest of your life while I have men to choose from." A car horn sounded. Lauren grabbed a small bag and walked over to Travis, trying to kiss him goodbye. Her husband flinched as if from a mild shock and pulled away. Lauren looked surprised and hurt for a moment, then her expression changed to anger. "I'll be back home. I don't know when," she said as she walked away. He watched in horror as she walked out the door. Was his 23-year marriage really over? Looks like it, he thought. Lauren didn't even look back at him as she walked out the door. It's a sad but true fact that people who are good-looking have an advantage in life over their more ordinary peers. They make friends more easily, they get more attention, teachers are more likely to give them better grades. In Lauren's case, it worked out that way, and it only got worse when she turned 13 and her breasts were fully developed. She quickly learned that if she clapped her eyes and smiled, she could get just about any boy she wanted. And for those boys who played the underdog, she would just stick out her breasts a little and the deal was done. Like virtually every boy she came in contact with, Travis had fallen under Lauren's spell almost from the first time he met her. His family had moved to town the summer just before he went into 8th grade. He met Lauren on his first day of school and was quickly charmed. Travis was a pretty good athlete and was popular with the other female students. Eventually, he worked up the courage to ask Lauren out on a middle school-style date, and she accepted. They became a couple and lasted until the first few weeks of their freshman year of high school at the local high school, when Lauren dumped the young man in favor of Landon Estes, Jr., who was a starting player on the school's soccer team. Travis at the time was 5'3" and 50 pounds, while Estes was 5'8" and 86 pounds. Although his feelings were hurt, Travis accepted his fate. He realized that Lauren was out of his league in terms of looks. What's more, most of the boys at school were out of Lauren's league when it came to looks. By virtue of dating a soccer player, Lauren hung out with the popular guys at school. Travis was one of the faceless minions roaming the hallways. He dated and was friends with a select few female students, and he never hung out with Lauren Soames again during his high school years. He noted that the few times she had come face-to-face with him, she acted as if he was a complete stranger. The first time it happened, he'd gotten angry, but afterward he'd learned to accept it. By his senior year, Travis had grown 23 centimeters and put on 18 pounds. He was a handsome and athletically built young man, but he was a long way from Lauren. Of course, not many people were like that. At the prom, he came with his attractive but not spectacular girlfriend. That night, they gave each other the gift of their youth. The prom queen was Lauren, and the prom king was her date. They had also made love after prom, but before that event, she was far from a virgin. Sometimes manipulated by her, sometimes manipulated by her. Love was always on the menu for any guy lucky enough to date Lauren. After high school, Travis enrolled at Michigan State University to study accounting. He dated a few girls during his 4 years of college, but he never had any serious romances. Lauren attended Central Michigan University as a marketing major. During her college years, she dated and slept with many men, including a marketing professor when she needed to turn a B into an A. After years of being an object of lust, Lauren had become very good at the game. By pure coincidence, they both landed jobs in Grand Rapids after college graduation. About a year after graduation, Travis and a few of his co-workers were enjoying a Friday night at a popular bar or restaurant when Lauren and 2 women walked in. All heads immediately turned to look at the spectacular woman in a short green dress with a deep neckline. Lauren barely paid any attention to it because it was expected at that point and she was used to it. "Who is this goddess?" wheezed Steve White across the table of co-workers. Before he had time to consider his words, Travis reflexively responded, "This, ladies and gentlemen, is Lauren Soames, goddess and girlfriend of yours, truly in 8th grade. All heads at the table turned from the woman to Travis, many of them with their mouths open. "You've met her?" one of them asked incredulously. Travis grumbled unhappily. He hated attention. Any kind of attention. "I was about 14. We were barely into my senior year of high school, and she ignored me all 4 years like I was the invisible man," he said quietly. "So do you at least have a good story about groping?" joked one of the women at the table. "Hell, I'd grope him in a heartbeat, and I'm sure I'm just more straightforward than anyone else at this table at least." The whole team broke out into cheerful laughter. This caused Lauren and her friends to glance over at each other. For a moment, she thought she recognized one of the men at the table, but she wasn't sure. The trio sat down at a neighboring table, with Lauren sitting facing the table of the man she thought she knew. "Dude, aren't you going to go over and say hello to that walking wet dream?" White inquired. "Jesus, Steve, you're drooling. Very unimpressive," said the first interviewee, Cassie Gardello. "She spent 4 years pretending she didn't know me. I don't see why she would remember me now," Travis said. Several heads nodded in agreement. Lauren continued to study the man, enjoying her food, then snapped her fingers and pointed at the man. "Not nice, Lauren," one of her friends said. "If you point at someone in a restaurant, you might hurt yourself in some places." She completely ignored her friend's remark. "I'll be right back," she announced. "I need to say hello to an old friend." Lauren practically jumped up from her chair and walked over to the table where Travis was sitting. "Trav, hi, it's so good to see you," Lauren exclaimed, walking over to him. Travis rolled his eyes at his friends and then turned to face his former classmate with a fake happy expression on his face. "Lauren, it's good to see you," Travis said with almost no emotion as he rose to his feet. Lauren stepped into Travis's personal space and kissed him gently on the lips, placing her hands on his shoulders. His co-workers sat stunned. Travis, in turn, was stunned as well. Lauren realized this and gave him a not entirely innocent smile. It was a game she felt very comfortable playing, and she knew it was beyond him. "Come to our table and I'll introduce you to the girls," she said. She took his hand and practically dragged him with her to her table. He spent most of the evening with Lauren and her 2 friends. Before he left, Lauren took his cell phone, typed in her own, and wrote down his number for herself. Lauren was more than intrigued that Travis seemed to be indifferent to her. That had never happened to her before. He was polite in the restaurant, but spent as much time talking to her 2 friends as he did with her. She kissed him on the lips several times during the evening, but he never once returned the kiss. On Monday morning, Travis's co-workers who had been at the bar with him pounced on him with questions about how his relationship with the goddess had turned out, and were stunned when he told them that he had stayed at the bar for about another hour, and then headed home, alone. "She's impressive, but she's 14 levels taller than me. I understand," he muttered. "I don't need that kind of grief." Such upset awaited Travis in the parking lot outside his workplace 2 days later as he drove out of work. He grumbled to himself as he saw her waiting for him by the car, though he had to admit she looked like a goddess in a dress a size smaller. "Why didn't you call, Trav?" she asked in a quiet voice as he approached her. Travis tried his best not to bulge, looking Lauren over from head to toe like a hungry man seeing his first meal in weeks. Her low-cut top was unbuttoned to the bottom of her cleavage, and the hemline ended only about 5 centimeters below her crotch. "Oh, shit," he muttered to himself as she reached up to wrap her arms around his neck and plant a kiss on his lips. He found himself defenseless as she pressed her whole body against him, and his free hand went around her body, reflexively grabbing her panty-clad buttock as her dress pulled up. Her wet tongue slipped into his mouth like a snake and attacked him, and he dropped his briefcase and grabbed her other buttock, and the kiss lingered indefinitely. After what seemed like minutes, the couple broke off the kiss, and Lauren pulled her dress back down to cover her panties. Several of his co-workers, who had stopped in shock, quickly got into their cars and drove away. They drove to a restaurant away from the center of town and enjoyed their meal, although Lauren spent most of the lunch pulling the bottom of her dress down. Both Travis and the young waitress seemed to enjoy this struggle of hers. Travis regarded Lauren warily, but he was only a man, and when a half-dressed goddess turns on her charm, he was toast, and the best he could hope for was to do well in bed tonight. "Oh, God," Travis whispered to himself as he looked at a naked Lauren for the first time. This woman was the goddess Travis had always imagined her to be. If this was going to be his only opportunity to go all out, he had to make sure he didn't miss a pitch because lust overpowered his senses. Once satiated, they lay face to face and looked into each other's eyes. Lauren smiled lecherously. "Apparently, I screwed up big time a few years ago," she whispered. "You have amazing powers. Who knew? If I had known..." "We lost a few years, Trav." Lauren realized what was involved when it was right in front of her. While Travis was out of her league in looks, he was still handsome, trim, and apparently had a good career ahead of him. He's also really good in bed, she thought to herself. Although Travis had his doubts about this woman, mostly related to her sense of self-worth, their relationship was slowly getting better. Her beauty was obvious, but he was slowly falling in love with who Lauren was. He bought an engagement ring, but before he proposed, they sat down and discussed their thoughts on fidelity. She'd impressed him so far, but Travis wanted to make sure there was nothing left unsaid between them. Obviously, I don't know much about your past. I'm not going to ask about numbers or names, Travis said as they sat down at the table for a serious conversation. What was in the past will remain in the past. The same goes for me. But I need to know about the future. From now on, I want us to be exclusive, completely. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you don't believe you can do it for us, I need to know now. If, however, you can do it, well. He placed a small black box on the table between them. Lauren looked directly into Travis's eyes, then back at the box. I will never cheat on my husband. Never. Travis opened the box. I will never cheat on my husband. Never. Travis remembered those words. Apparently, his wife didn't consider it cheating, since she had warned him beforehand. He knew it wasn't. She had hoped that he would take it that way, because if he didn't, he didn't. Travis knew that Lauren had had plenty of opportunities to cheat over the years, and as far as he could tell, she'd rejected all of those opportunities like a good wife should. She was a 10, a 12 point, and he considered himself a 6 at best. That left a lot of room for someone closer to her physical level to sneak in and make themselves known. Assuming she hadn't had an affair he didn't know about, she'd lived 23 years as a real wife. Travis knew he should be grateful for those years, but he wasn't. Saying love meant he wanted it to be forever, not a measly 23 years. Truth be told, there wasn't a week that went by that Lauren didn't get propositions from someone, not just men. She knew she wasn't just beautiful. She was ravishing, a rare goddess among simply beautiful women. When God created his wife, he had an exceptional day, Travis always said. At first, Lauren told Travis this every time she was molested, trying to be completely transparent. After a few years, however, Travis said he trusted her enough that she didn't need to lay it all out for him. The only time he would want to know that she was being hit on was if the hitter didn't take her first rejection. Then he would take the necessary steps to blow the offender off. Travis, on the other hand, was rarely hit on by women. Part of the reason was that he used his wedding ring almost as a shield. Within minutes of meeting a woman, Travis was already talking excitedly about his wife and children, which usually quelled any sparks that might have flared up. He didn't even realize what he was doing, and most women shut down before they even had a chance to flirt. Lauren didn't even realize that her husband was turning off potential flirts. Or worse. The almost fairy tale marriage lasted 22 years before Rose Esposito entered the proverbial Garden of Eden, or rather came to work at the same public relations firm as Lauren. In the words of a Bob Seger song, she was a dark-haired beauty with big brown eyes and big breasts. Men were attracted to her like a strong magnet attracts metal. In any other office, she would have been an alpha female, but at Superior Solutions, she was at best a loyal assistant to the sexiest woman on the planet. 42-year-old Rosa had been married for 15 years, but by her own words, she wasn't a fan of it. She'd had a few affairs with her husband's knowledge and a few more without his knowledge, and she often shared stories of her adventures with Lauren. She was a very good storyteller, and in the stories, the love-making with most of her lovers seemed fantastic. So you haven't tried anyone since you got married? Yes, you are a rock woman, but I don't believe you don't want it, Rosa said one day at work during a coffee break. Well, I'm not saying I'm not curious, but I would never cheat on Travis, Lauren said. In recent months, Lauren had noticed that she no longer felt like she was attracting as much attention from men in bars and restaurants as she used to. More than once, she had noticed that the looks that used to be directed at her were being received by younger women and had begun to doubt her visual attraction abilities. Let's play the what-if game. What if hubby let you try it? What then? Rose asked. It was clear by the look on Lauren's face that she had never thought of this scenario before. The wheels in her head were spinning frantically. I guess if I had permission, then it would be a different story, Lauren admitted with a mischievous grin. Have you ever thought about asking permission? Rose asked. You know that anything worth having is worth asking for. Lauren had never thought about it before. Her face brightened, then dimmed. He'll never give me permission. Never, Lauren said. Do I have to do everything for you? Rose asked. The unspoken authorization. Tell him, and then take what you want no matter what he says. Tell him that he loves you enough to let you do it, that you can get through this because it has nothing to do with love, that you only love him. Travis was awakened by the sound of a car pulling up to the house. Glancing at the clock, he realized it was a little after 3 in the morning. A glance at the bottle of Woodford Reserve showed that he'd finished about half of it. Great night, huh? He sneered at Lauren as she walked through the front door. Travis scrutinized the cliché his wife had become. Her hair was combed but disheveled. Her makeup was missing. Her clothes looked rumpled. She didn't look remorseful, but smug. Could have said the same to you, she hissed. You didn't have to wait, you know. I'm going to bed, are you? Maybe, but never again in this life with you, he snapped back. No. Lauren gave him a look of disgust and headed up the stairs. Travis poured 3 more fingers of bourbon into his glass and went back to watching ESPN, Entertainment and Sports Network. Travis spent the night in his folding chair, half sitting, half lying down with a rumbling stomach. Around 9, he finally got up from his chair and made himself breakfast. While eating, he heard the shower in the master bathroom turn on. The cheater's up, he thought to himself. Under normal circumstances, Travis would have expected his wife to come downstairs in a robe and with her hair wrapped in a towel. This morning she hadn't come downstairs for about an hour, and when she did, her hair was dried, she was dressed and wearing makeup, looking as flawless as ever. He wouldn't expect anything less. Did you happen to leave me anything to eat? She asked. I brewed a big pot of coffee, but you make your own food, and since you're dressed for home, I think now would be a good time to talk, he said flatly. Lauren was surprised at how unemotional Travis seemed. She had expected him to just froth at the mouth and be irrational, which meant he would be easier to manipulate. A rational Travis would make the conversation much harder, she reasoned to herself. Don't you want to know about last night? She said quietly. Travis caught the note of superiority in her tone. Did she really believe that he wanted to know how he had been made a cuckold? Hardly. I want to know how you see our marriage going forward, Travis said, his voice no louder than hers. As I said yesterday, I intend to try a few other men over the next few years. T, I only love you, but I want to try a few more men while I still have the looks and body. I have given everything to you for 23 years, and I have never had a thought of cheating. I want the thrill of something unfamiliar. You're great in bed, but I want variety. You know, get some different experience for a while, and then you and I will ride off into the sunset together, and I'll be grateful for the experience and spoil you exclusively for the rest of our lives, Lauren said. Travis listened intently as Lauren spoke while simultaneously making jam toast for his coffee. He thought the way she was spreading the toast while talking about the most important thing in his life was rather nonchalant. He had so many questions. Is this all about you wanting variety? I'm not enough for you? He asked, squeakily. She started to answer, but he interrupted her. So you want to live in an open marriage for a few years and then go back to monogamy sometime in the future? Does that mean I can date others too? Lauren tried unsuccessfully to suppress a giggle. The very thought of her sweet, quiet husband asking out another woman was ludicrous. Travis's attitude toward marriage was the most serious of any man she'd ever met. However, if that's what it took to get him to consent. In principle, yes, she replied. Of course, I'm assuming it would just be a date for you two. Travis raised his eyebrows and shrugged. Lauren had no idea what the motion meant. She did, however, have an idea. So, would you like to go on a date with Rosa? You know, a very pretty woman from my office. I'm sure she'd love that, Lauren said. knowing that her friend would have no problem sleeping with her husband, especially if it meant helping Lauren achieve her goal of sleeping with other men and still being married. Travis looked puzzled. The lusty 21-year-old bachelor in him wanted Rose. The responsible 47-year-old married guy knew he couldn't do that. I'd love a date with Rosa, but no, baby, thank you. That would make me as big a womanizer as you were a cheater last night, he said. Lauren's face, which had begun to smile, suddenly changed to a grimace of anger. I am a cheater, she shouted. Well, if you insist, baby, he said much more seriously than she might have expected, but I still won't go for it. Well, come to your senses, baby, because I'll do it even if you don't, she snorted. Rose walked into Lauren's office around 11 o'clock on Monday morning and saw that Lauren didn't look happy. To hell with that prude and the horse he rode in on, Lauren hissed, closing the office door behind Rose. Heck, he even refused to go out with you. Rose frowned. I didn't realize I was on the menu, but the hell with it. How could he turn it down? She said, stroking her body with her hands. What about the date? Did you have a good time or did Travis ruin it? Rose asked. The date was fantastic. Jonas definitely knows how to make a woman feel good, Lauren enthused. God, it's been so long since I felt another man in me. I definitely like the difference. Who do you think I should try next? Both laughed heartily. Lauren was cheered by the fact that she wasn't immediately served with divorce papers. Since she and her husband had barely spoken, she decided it was wise not to ask about his plans at all. Although he didn't tell his wife, Travis really didn't want to rush into a divorce. He hoped that she would quickly come to her senses and abandon her foolish plans to horn in on him, believed that he could forgive her and they could forget about her misbehavior if she would stop this foolishness. His hopes were strengthened when Lauren didn't go on a date the following week, though he still didn't return to the bedroom and they still didn't communicate in a positive way. However, the following Friday evening, Lauren was once again dressed to the hilt, obviously ready for a date. Are you seriously planning on doing this again? With the same guy? Or do you want someone else this week? Travis asked sharply. Damn, Trav. Didn't you hear a word I said? This isn't about you, it's about me. And me wanting something before I'm too old to attract anyone. It's not that I want you any less, I just want more and different. You know I get hit on all the time. I just want to enjoy it. I'll always come back to you. Yeah. What if I don't want you to come back to me? I won't share you. I'm not going to sit around while you have fun. I'm not cut out for that. I'm not going to wait for you to try half the male population of this town. When you had your first date, I wasn't sure yet, but I think I could get over it. Once might have been extreme stupidity, but twice is extreme disrespect, extreme betrayal. Stay out all night. Walk around all night. We're done. I wasn't put on this earth to take shit from you. Wah, 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 she said, making talking motions with the fingers of her right hand. You don't want to lose me, do you? This doesn't have to be an either-or situation. Travis had instructed his attorney to prepare all the necessary paperwork last week, hoping it wouldn't be necessary. He was going to call his wife on Monday morning, but first he needed to call his 2 daughters and tell them about it. Neither 21-year-old Jackie nor 19-year-old Michelle believed their father when he called them that evening, at least outwardly, but after talking to both of them, he found that his oldest daughter might not have just guessed that something was wrong. You knew she was going to pull this shit and you didn't tell me? He yelled over the phone. You don't think I deserve to know what was going to happen? Please, Daddy. I've been put in a very difficult position. One of you wouldn't be happy with me one way or the other, regardless of what I would have done. Besides, it's her body. It doesn't belong to you. And if she wants to share it... Stop! Don't go on! Travis yelled. I realize that she put you between us, but don't tell me that she can do whatever she wants, whenever she wants, because that body is hers. Us! We did! Vows! The vows override the talk about her body thing. Yeah, she muttered briefly, then fell silent. Damn, baby. I'm sorry, Daddy, she whispered. When Lauren walked through the door at 2 in the morning, Travis was nowhere to be seen. Even though she had arrived an hour earlier than she had from her previous date, she looked a little more frazzled. Gabriel Esposito was a large, strong man of great physical strength, perhaps the strongest Lauren had ever encountered in bed. By the end of the evening, she could hardly move and her throat was sore. She knew that by tomorrow she would probably have a couple bruises from his grip. All in all, though, it had been a great night, she thought. She would be able to enjoy Gabriel another time. Lauren was shocked and embarrassed when she was handed her divorce papers at the office Monday morning. She burst into tears and ran to the ladies' room. A few minutes later, hearing the commotion, Rosa appeared. "You should have known he would at least hand you the papers," Rosa said. "You hurt him badly, baby. This is his way of hurting you back. An eye for an eye. Men are such children. He's trying to force you to force things. He's not going to give up a 23-year marriage and half his stuff. Give him a week alone and he'll come crawling back." Straightening up, Lauren returned to her desk, picked up her phone, and immediately dialed her husband's number. "Hey, how could you do this to me in the office in front of everyone? I know you're hurting, but I deserve better than this, Trav," she practically screamed into the phone. "After 23 years, don't I deserve something better than you unilaterally deciding to open our marriage? If I'm not right for you, couldn't you have just given me advance notice and we could have parted ways like civilized people?" Travis said. "I don't want to be civilized. I don't want a divorce. I still love you. You still love me," she wailed. "I still love you, but every time you sleep with someone else, that love diminishes," he growled. "My love is not a bottomless well. Like you, I always thought it was. Who knows? Maybe we were both wrong." Lauren fought the divorce. Her attorney had requested and received marriage counseling, even though Travis was adamantly opposed. Lauren smiled and Travis frowned as they were led into the inner sanctum of the counselor's sanctuary and caught Lillian Camacho in one of the chairs at the counselor's desk. The data on marriage counselors showed that most felt as if their job was to reconcile divorcing couples, and female counselors seemed to lean in favor of women. The couple took 2 of the 3 available seats at the table. The counselor coughed to let them know she was starting. "I have read both of your cases and seen both of your statements," Miss Camacho began. "Let's start with the simplest one. Mrs. Wesley, did you really tell your husband that you were going to be seeing other men for several years?" Travis tried his best not to let the counselor see his smirk. Lauren, on the other hand, was trying hard not to let the counselor see how shocked she was. She thought about lying, but then realized she didn't have a ready-made cover story for that lie. Yes, I told him that," she replied quietly. "It's something I don't need, for him to do for me. It won't affect our marriage." Well, I guess we'll call it a day," the counselor said. "I'm sorry to have wasted your time, Mrs. Wesley. I'll talk to the judge and put an end to this farce." But, Lauren started stuttering. "Darling, if you thought for 1 minute that what you did to your husband would work on me, you're out of your mind. You should be ashamed of yourself, but obviously you have no shame." "Frankly, you disgust me," Miss Camacho said. Over the next month, Lauren called and texted Travis several times a day as he rented a small apartment near his home. He didn't answer the calls or texts. That's when she enlisted the help of their daughters, who called several times. "Dad, you know you still love her. If she stopped seeing other men, would you give her another chance?" Michelle asked during one of those calls. "So she's still doing it, even after I've serviced her?" Travis asked in a trembling voice. All he got in response was silence. That was all the answer he needed. Michelle didn't call again or ask him to try again. Travis was surprised at how quickly word of his impending divorce spread, especially among single women. Several women at his work had expressed their condolences about his marital problems, as had several women who had been friends of both him and his wife. He was smart enough to realize that not all of their condolences were altruistic. Connie Myong, a longtime friend of his wife's, called to express her regret for what was going on in Travis's life. She almost directly offered him a shoulder to cry on and a hot pussy in which to quench his masculine desires. Travis was shocked that his wife's close friend would molest him so openly. In all the years they'd known each other, the divorced woman had never once cast even a leering glance at him. "I would never have pursued a friend's husband. It's just wrong," she told him. "But now that you're a free man, the rules are different. I'm letting you know that I'm interested in you. Shocked, flattered. But I'm not a free man yet, Connie, and I won't date until the divorce is final. I know it's stupid, but I won't cheat, Travis said. You're such a Boy Scout, Trav. That's one of the things I like about you. I always have. Can you at least set me up on a date when you're free? Connie asked. Sure, said Travis, but I don't want to get between you and Lauren. You've been friends for years. I appreciate your sensitivity, but just because she's a dumbass doesn't mean I have to miss out on a good person. I wouldn't even consider it if you were just some strange guy and we just met, Connie said. Maybe I'll call you when I take the leash off, Travis joked. Connie was a 6'5" Asian beauty with a trained body and waist-length black hair, which was one of her main assets in Travis's eyes. He admitted to himself that he was more than surprised that the woman had shown interest in him. Travis proved true to his word and called Connie the day his divorce became official. On Saturday night, they went out to a restaurant and then to a local jazz club. Connie noticed that Travis was feeling awkward and commented, I feel like an inexperienced 15-year-old, he replied. I haven't been on a date with another woman in over 26 years. Don't tell me the contraceptive in your wallet is the same one you had on your last date before Lauren, she joked. Was I supposed to have it? Damn, I didn't even think of that. Well, come on, Travis replied. At the end of the evening, Connie kissed Travis gently on the lips. They both felt good after the date, and he promised to call again. Travis hadn't given much thought to taking off his wedding ring on the day of his final divorce, but apparently it was a big deal for unmarried women. Noticing the emptiness on his ring finger, several female co-workers noticed and commented on it, and suddenly the level of flirting in his office increased markedly. This was new to him, and one day at lunch he told his best friend in the office about it. There are so many beautiful women in this office. How did I never notice that before? Travis asked. You, my friend, were just a bastardized jerk, said Robert Ardito. You were so much in love with this woman that you didn't even look at other women as sexual beings. I mean, she's undeniably a beautiful woman, but you let her put your balls in your purse, and that may have been part of the problem. She's constantly being scrutinized. She has value, and you were so emasculated. You gave off such a vibe that no woman would ever look at you. In the first month after the divorce, Travis went on 4 dates, 2 of them with Connie. He hadn't yet managed to sleep with any of the 3 women he'd dated, but that wasn't his goal. In the second month, he was equally in demand and slept with 2 women. Travis's daughters, who had spent the last few months talking to their mother more than their father, heard her constant assertions that while she could practically get any man with just a snap of her fingers, their father was an average man in his early 40s who had trouble even finding a date, let alone a steady girlfriend. They started feeling sorry for their father, and one Saturday morning, about 2 months after the divorce, they went to his apartment together unannounced. Travis was not happy about being woken up at 8:36, especially since he had entertained his companion late the night before. Sonia, a lushly busty 25-year-old, was the daughter of a friend of his who needed a reliable beau for her wedding reception. The evening had gone so well that the couple had decided to end it at Travis's apartment. At that moment, she was asleep in his bed when he opened the door in his robe. "What?" he asked as he swung the door open and saw the smiling faces of his daughters holding bags of bagels, smoked salmon, and cream cheese. "Hi, Daddy. Can't your 2 favorite daughters come over for breakfast?" Jackie said as the couple entered the house. Travis kissed both of them on the cheek and led them to the kitchen table where they emptied the bags they had brought with them. They were just stacking bagels when Sonia came out of the bedroom, wearing one of Travis's white shirts, half buttoned up, and probably not wearing anything else. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were expecting company, kid," Sonia said. "Mommy said you're your own boss." Both girls blushed as Sonia poured coffee for herself. No, Sonia. These are my daughters, Jackie and Michelle," he said, pointing to the daughter with the appropriate name. "They're here for breakfast." "A bagel with salmon?" Sonia giggled, making her large, braless breasts quiver under her shirt. She brushed her thigh against Travis's arm and sank into the chair next to him. For a while, all 4 of them made casual small talk until Jackie asked if Travis had talked to Lauren lately. He frowned, for the first time in days. Up until this point, he'd found it nearly impossible to get upset being around Sonia, even though she was a little hard on his 48-year-old body. "I have to tell you, Dad, we thought you'd miss Mom by now," Michelle said. "We know she misses you. And I thought she'd be living life to the fullest when I was gone. I know I was an anchor for her. I thought she'd sleep with them 2 at a time in our old bed." "Daddy!" exclaimed Jackie while Sonia giggled and Michelle frowned. "She's no cheater, you know." "What, really? Think about that for a second. How many different guys has she slept with since we broke up? And the other 2 that I know of before I left?" Both girls blushed and lowered their heads. "Wow. If 2 guys a month for, how many, 10 months, that would be 20 different guys. At 3 guys a month, that's 30. That sounds like a lot of guys to me," Sonia said. If looks could kill, Travis's daughters would have put Sonia in her grave in seconds. She was well aware of that fact. "Hey, don't blame me if a woman can't keep her legs closed," Sonia declared. Kids. Let's not ruin a good weekend for me," Travis stated. "I'm sorry," all 3 young women muttered at the same time. "So, you 2 are a couple?" Jackie asked Sonia quietly. "You don't look any older than me." "Your dad said we're the same age, but don't worry. I'm not going to be your stepmother someday. We're just friends. He's a great guy. He was my date to the wedding reception last night, and he's kind of handsome. Did I mention he's also a great guy?" "Well, we have to agree that he's a great guy even though we know he can be a bit of a jerk from time to time," Jackie said. "And yeah, he's kind of handsome. For a guy who's old enough to be your dad." It was Sonia's turn to blush. Travis blushed too. "Hey, babe. Remember we have a lunch with the newlyweds' families at the hotel at noon. I need to shower and get some clothes from my apartment before we go," Sonia said. Both daughters rolled their eyes looking at their father. "Mom, she's my age," Jackie told her mother during lunch a few weeks later. And it didn't seem like a one-time thing. They had spent quite a bit of time together. They enjoyed each other's company. "I don't think he's going to come crawling back to you anytime soon, Mom." "No, you just caught him on a good day. He was probably helping a friend's baby and got lucky. She's probably an idiot who'll sleep with anyone. Your father is a great guy, but not a stud, Jackie." Jackie raised her eyebrows at her mother. "You always seemed happy with him, until you told him you were going to leave him. Why didn't you just cheat on him without telling him? Wouldn't that have been so much easier? You could have kept the cake and eaten it." "That would have been cheating, Jackie. And if he caught me, well, then we'd be broken up. By telling him, though, I wasn't cheating, and I was sure he would give me what I wanted when he realized exactly what he was going to lose. I have to admit, I didn't expect the divorce. I never thought he'd have the guts for it." "Mom, I think you mistook love for weakness. And somewhere along the way, you decided that it was all up to you. Was it all worth it?" For the first time, Lauren's face showed the strain of what she'd endured. Rose made it sound so much better than it really was. She couldn't tell her daughter that love was okay. But no, he wasn't worth it. She also couldn't tell her daughter that she had never considered that Travis would do anything else but sit around and pine for his beautiful ex-wife. She was so self-absorbed that she didn't even realize that a handsome, though not gorgeous man with great character, intelligence, and a solid job could be very attractive in the single market, and not just for middle-aged women. She knew that since the divorce, her ex-husband had dated several women, including her longtime friend Connie, and now some young woman of easy virtue, the same age as their oldest daughter. Instead of sitting at home and lamenting his past life, he's dating like a single 20-year-old guy and getting more than he's entitled to. She hadn't said anything to Connie when she found out that her friend had gone out with her ex the first time, assuming it was some sort of pity date, but the second date had been completely unnecessary, and she had informed Connie privately in a rather loud tone. "I thought we were friends, Con," Lauren declared. "You're supposed to be on my side. We girls are supposed to have each other's backs." "But he hasn't done anything bad to you, Lauren, and he's a good guy, a great guy. He's everything I want in a man. Why don't I date Trav? Hell, women are lining up to go out with him. He's the perfect aged beef on the hook, girl. and he's a great date, and he's great in bed, too. I'll go out with him any time he asks me out. How could you turn down a man like that?" Lauren stared at her friend in silence with her mouth open. She was just beginning to realize that her mistake was growing like yeast. She loves Travis and hates coming home to an empty house at the end of the day. She hates sleeping alone at night. Travis, of course, had no idea that his life would become so exciting. He would have been quite happy if his former boring life had stayed the way it was, but other than that, he was fine with it. His job is good. His social life is top-notch. He enjoys socializing with several women of varying ages, and most of his dates end up in bed. He's certainly not looking for a long-term partner at the moment, but he's probably enjoyed a smorgasbord of what he thought was good pussy. There's more to life than just being married to a beautiful woman. Marla Goodling's shoulder-length silver hair had several streaks of purple gathered into a ponytail coming out of a hole in the back of her Chicago Cubs baseball cap. Her blue Cubs jersey was perhaps a size tight on her lush breasts, and her light blue Levi's were as tight as most of the 20-somethings in the stands, even though she was 60 years old. In the left grandstand of Wrigley Field in the stadium, she was gathering more than enough stares. One of those gazing at her appraisingly was the man she was with, Travis Wesley, the ex-husband of one of her longtime employees, Lauren Wesley. She and Travis had been to a Cubs game as part of a weekend trip to Chicago. Marla had worked with Lauren Wesley for over 15 years. She met Travis at several corporate events where he accompanied his then-wife and always thought he was a good-looking and nice guy. She knew that he and Lauren had divorced about 2 years ago. Marla had already been a widow for about 5 years. Her longtime husband had died in a car accident. She had only been on one date during that time, after which she had decided to get Travis's phone number. Yes, Travis remembered her. He figured it was hard to forget a woman who seemed to radiate both style and beauty. Would he like to go out to dinner with her? Absolutely, he replied. It was a few months before the present moment. The first date was at an expensive restaurant, followed by a concert at the Philharmonic, with Marla providing the tickets. The evening ended with them kissing at the front door of her house. The second date was a Saturday hike on the trail, and the woman giggled several times when a clearly tired Travis had to take short breaks during the day. Apparently, she and her late husband had been avid climbers and hikers, and although Travis thought he was in pretty good shape, as it turned out, he was wrong. He also learned that Marla had a trim body for an older woman and mesmerizing gray eyes. The date ended with Marla and Travis making tender love on the rug in the living room of her home after they had a heated kissing session on the couch. She intrigued him with the combination of wealthy class and the freshness of the girl next door. Marla happily agreed when Travis suggested she spend a weekend sightseeing in Chicago as part of their third date. On their first date, Marla told Travis that she had no intention of telling Lauren that they were dating. If asked, she wouldn't have denied it, but she wasn't going to advertise the fact. Marla also told Travis that Lauren had told her co-workers that she and Travis were divorcing because of irreconcilable differences. Travis told Marla the same story he had told everyone else. Lauren had cheated on him with at least 2 different men. He didn't elaborate any further. In the 2 years since his divorce, Travis had formed several strong relationships and enjoyed what he thought was an amazing sex life. All of his female partners had a good opinion of him, and several of them hoped to be considered when Travis decided to trust women again and get married. Lauren, on the other hand, was working in a different direction. As she told her then-husband before their first date, she was simply looking for sexual gratification while she still had the looks to attract almost any man. She wasn't looking for an emotional relationship, as most of her partners were. This basic difference between the 2 former partners would become a problem for Jackie. She and her mother were immersed in preparations for the upcoming wedding, which her father was happily paying for, when Lauren told her daughter that she thought both parents should attend the wedding unaccompanied so there would be less tension. Jackie quickly agreed with this thought and relayed it to her father later that week as they chatted over lunch. "Did that brilliant idea come from you or your mother?" Travis asked sternly. "I plan to bring a lady along. I'm paying for this party, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with whoever I bring. Hell, I've been taking dancing lessons for about a year now, ever since you announced your engagement." You've been taking dance lessons? Seriously? Just for my wedding? That's so sweet, but... No buts, Jackie. She apparently doesn't have anyone she considers close enough to invite, so she's trying to pressure me. Once again, she's being selfish and trying to manipulate the situation in her favor. Sorry, babe, but I will not show up without a date to my own daughter's wedding. If you don't have the guts to tell her that, I certainly will. She can go alone or bring a date. That's up to her. I'm bringing a date, Travis said. I got it, Daddy. I'll tell her. You've got the right idea, and I really want to see you dance. But, you couldn't bring someone older than me anyway. I can do that, baby, but you really should see Sonia and me dance. Travis smiled broadly and got a wide grin in return. Travis took Connie Myung with him to the wedding. Travis thought she looked gorgeous in the sea green dress that she had bought and he had paid for. They had a fight over him buying that dress. Travis explained to the woman that since he is the father of the bride and should be in a tuxedo, she needed a new dress, which he would be happy to buy. And yes, I realize it needs shoes to go with it as well, he told her with a wide smile on his face. Leading his oldest daughter down the aisle was one of the greatest and worst things to happen in Travis's life. All the other fathers who had told Travis it would happen had hit the mark, he noted to himself. Still, it was a great day, he had to admit. He, Connie, and his kids had had fun and danced until late into the night. The only moment that had brought discord to the day was the appearance of his ex-wife with her own beau. Not that Travis cared, but the guy had spent most of the first part of the wedding smirking at Travis, and then most of the second part staring at and groping several women like an obnoxious drunk, at least until Jackie had asked her mother to remove the guest. Lauren, clearly embarrassed, apologized and quickly escorted the man out the door. Before leaving with her companion, Lauren still took the time to follow Connie into the women's restroom. "You're an asshole who stole a man," she said to Connie once they were in the restroom. "I'm sorry, but I've never stolen a man from anyone," Connie replied. "He divorced you before we even started dating. You have no one to blame for that divorce but yourself. You threw away a great man for a cheap love." Lauren's face turned crimson. Her eyes, which at first had been gazing intently at the other woman, suddenly went blank. She lowered her head and stood motionless as Connie walked out the door. Connie never said a word to Travis or the family because she didn't want to ruin this special day. A few months after the wedding, Michelle arrived at her father's house and looked restless. Travis watched her for a while before asking a question. "Okay, Mitch, what's going on? You've been kind of jumpy all evening." Michelle blushed thickly and began to stutter. Travis realized something was very wrong. Dad, every now and then Mom talks about getting back together with you, about how she'll win you over when she stops making love to other guys. You two, haven't made love or anything, have you?" she asked. "My sex life is none of your business, young lady," Travis snapped back. "But no, I haven't slept with your mother. Why?" "Well, the thing is, she has an STD, Dad. I heard the end of her conversation with her friend Rosa and she said she had syphilis," Michelle said quietly, not looking her father in the eye. Travis looked surprised and then sad as Michelle watched him out of the corner of her eye. "I assume you're telling me this because you're worried about me," Travis said. "But it's standard state policy to inform all possible recipients of said disease that they need to be tested." "I didn't know that. Just worried about you, Dad," she said. "I know Mom is still sleeping around. Several of my friends have warned me that she's pretty slutty. It's always awkward when a friend tells you your mom is a cheater." A few days later, Travis received a nasty phone call from Marla. He immediately realized that she had the same concerns as Michelle, although she obviously had her own health concerns as well. "If you're wondering if I slept with my ex, the answer is, not just no, but hell no," Travis said. "Believe me, Marla, I understand your concern, but there's nothing I can do about the fact that my ex is a scandal." "Scandal is the nicest thing I've heard about her lately," Marla said. "In recent months, her active activities outside the house have been the subject of gossip on the sidelines. It seems the longer she's been single, the more she loses her guard. Lauren used her STD as a starting point in her plan to get Travis back. She was satisfied that she had gone through enough men to last the rest of her life, And 6 months after the doctor said she was cured, she set in motion her plan to get Travis back. She was still slightly resentful of Travis for divorcing her the first time, which was not part of her original plan. She figured her then-husband would never dare to divorce a woman who looked like her, knowing that the odds of him being able to find another in her class were slim. The plan might have worked if other women hadn't started going after Travis. Lauren had no doubt that she was a catch. She didn't realize that Travis could feel the same attraction to other women. "I know he's a great guy, but can't these women see that he's nowhere near my level of sexuality?" she once told Rosa as the two women sipped margaritas at the bar while waiting for their dates for the evening. It was Rosa who had pushed her friend toward her current lifestyle. She knew Travis was handsome enough, but she had greatly underestimated the depth of his personality, also because he was always submissive to his wife. She expected Travis to just sit around and mope while his wife slept with other men. Who knew Travis had so much game? Lauren and Rosa had been keeping tabs on Travis ever since Lauren had given him the ultimatum, and truth be told, it appeared that his sex life since the official divorce had been almost as full as Lauren's. If Lauren had been more honest with herself, she might have recognized that her ex-husband's sex life seemed to have gotten a lot better emotionally. Travis was going on dates and seemed to be genuinely having fun with his partners. Lauren slept with her own, though not with any of them after contracting an STD. She noted that it had been a doozy for a long time. Maybe it was time for her and Travis to reconnect, Lauren concluded. Travis was more than surprised by the voice on the other end of the line. He hadn't spoken to his ex-wife in almost 2 years. One of his daughters must have given her his new cell phone number. He hadn't forbidden them to do so, but he said he didn't think it was appropriate to ever speak to her directly again. "Hi, Trev," she purred in her most pleasant tone. "I think it's time we had a talk. And I thought we shouldn't talk until Michelle was married. But since that's not yet the case now, maybe we can go back to silence," Travis said. Still the same Travis, still trying to deny that you love me, but you know you do. You know you want me back. "Same old Lauren," he replied. "You still think everything revolves around you." "Look, Trav, I know you're still mad at me, but I do love you. I probably should have just cheated on you and kept you in the dark, but that would have been cheating." "It was still cheating, Lauren. Just because you told me you were going to do it doesn't make it any less real. You did it because you thought I'd never give up on you." "Do you think I'm that pathetic?" Travis said. "I know you think you're 10. Hell, 12 points. But any more than that, you're gorgeous. I don't have to live in your shadow. As I've been shown over the last few years, I'm not just the husband of a beautiful woman. Other women want what I have to offer and are willing to repay me emotionally. The last few years have been great for me. Why would I want to go out again with a selfish woman who clearly disrespects me? And no matter what she says, doesn't love me the way I loved her. Loved is past tense." Disconnecting, Travis put the phone down and turned to the woman beside him. "Ready for round 2? he asked Sonia. Sonia eventually found her soulmate and married him, but Connie and Marla continued their relationship with Travis. He loved both of them in his own way, but never remarried. They loved him in their own way, too, and both women embraced this joint relationship. Moreover, a few years later, both were invited to attend with Travis at the wedding of his second daughter, Michelle. This did not please Lauren, who did not invite the beau to the wedding. She complained to her daughter, but Michelle didn't support her. "After me, Jackie and her family, Connie and Marla, are the two closest people in the world to Daddy," Michelle replied. "They love Daddy for who he is and put him above their own selfish interests. Something not everyone can say about themselves. He was yours, and you left him for extra love. Why? Just because you were afraid of getting old and you thought he had no other options, that he would never give up on you. Not for anything or anyone." Travis was happy with his life, even if it wasn't his first choice. He had gotten out of a situation he thought was unacceptable. Lauren's life wasn't one of loneliness and remorse. After all, she was still a beautiful woman, and beautiful women often just need to show up for men to start hitting on them. Lauren was often hit on, and she had had quite a few short-term flings. However, none of them turned into something long-term. In retrospect, Lauren had to admit that she regretted telling her then-husband that she was going to leave him, only because she still couldn't get over the fact that Travis had given up on her so easily. How could she have miscalculated so badly? She often wondered to herself. She was 12 points out of 10 while he was only 6. It wasn't supposed to end this way. The end